Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again, taking that big stack of research you've gathered and hopefully making some real sense of it. Today, we're jumping into something pretty fascinating, definitely complex, and yeah, high stakes. We're talking about launching your very own custom adult camming platform in 2025. Now, everyone knows the big names, right? The huge platforms dominating the scene. But the sources you sent over, they paint a really interesting picture. They suggest that, yeah, the giants are huge, but the market itself is actually booming. And there's, believe it or not, a real space for focused startups. So our goal today isn't about, how to be a performer or how to just rent some space on somebody else's site. No, we're looking at the playbook for becoming the owner. What does it actually truly take, legally, financially, technically, to build this kind of business from the ground up?
Yeah, and that distinction is critical. Being a site owner versus being a performer, it's night and day. You're essentially flipping the script on how the whole creator economy usually works in this case. See, the big guys, they control everything. The traffic, the brand recognition, all the user data, and crucially, those really high revenue splits. Starting your own platform means you take that control back. You set the rules, you build your brand, and let's be honest, you keep way more of the profit. But, and it's a big but, that control comes with, well, enormous responsibility and significant upfront investment.
Okay, let's start right there with the profit angle. We see the big platforms, Chatterbait, BongaCam, StripChat, they're obviously massively successful. Is it just about sheer volume, or is there something else that turns a casual browser into someone who actually, spends money?
It's definitely more than just volume. The sources talk about crafting a monetized experience. It's not just about showing content. It's about facilitating interaction,
Right.
creating a sense of urgency or scarcity sometimes. These platforms have really mastered making it super easy to spend money. And just as importantly, making it easy for the models to earn that money. Viewers often get a little taste for free, sure, but any meaningful interaction, that requires tokens. The real magic is, yes, volume helps, but it's also the simplicity. The whole process has to be absolutely frictionless.
Frictionless, right.
And honestly, this is where a lot of people trying to start their own site stumble. They think, oh, we'll just rely on tipping. Big mistake. A truly profitable, sustainable site needs layers of revenue, multiple streams. The absolute foundation, the bedrock, is tipping. Always. Those tokens people drop for, specific requests or just to get noticed.
Okay, so tipping is the bread and butter, like you said, foundational.
Yeah.
But what are the other sort of non-negotiable revenue streams you have to build in right from the start?
Well, you've got to capture the higher value interactions. That means offering pay-per-minute shows. These are the one-on-one sessions where literally the clock is ticking and the meter's running.
Yeah.
You also need private shows, which are usually set at a fixed higher price for really exclusive premium interaction time.
Live stuff, got it. What about passive income?
Exactly. You need that too. That comes from having a premium content store. Think pre-recorded clips, photo sets, maybe longer videos that users can buy anytime. It keeps money coming in even when models aren't live.
And then there's the recurring revenue dream.
The holy grail, right? Subscriptions. Offering monthly plans that give users perks, maybe special badges, access to exclusive group chats, or even discounted rates on those private shows we mentioned. See, if you only have tipping, your income's going to be all over the place, really volatile. You absolutely need all these layers: tipping, PPM, private store, subscriptions to get stability, and crucially, the potential to scale up.
That layered approach totally makes sense. You're guiding users from maybe free viewing to tipping, then potentially to higher spend activities. But you mentioned earlier, it's not just volume, it's engagement. How do you actually foster that? Like if I manage to get thousands of people clicking onto my new site, how do I make sure the environment encourages spending naturally so it doesn't feel forced or awkward?
That's all about the user experience for both sides. If the interface is confusing or slow, or if the models don't feel equipped or motivated to interact properly, viewers just won't stick around, let alone spend money. The platform has to feel, well, supportive for the performers and really inviting and easy for the viewers. When viewers feel acknowledged, and seen, and when buying tokens and spending them is instant, seamless, reliable, that's when that initial engagement turns into actual sustainable revenue.
Okay, so building that tailored, engaging environment, it sounds like it starts with having a really clear focus. The sources were pretty blunt about this, trying to be the next huge generic platform. Forget it, you'll fail. Niching down seems like it's not just recommended, it's essential for survival. What kind of specific, maybe even surprising niches are actually working right now?
Yeah, you absolutely have to define your target audience right away.
Yeah.
Trying to appeal to everyone just doesn't work when you're starting out. You end up appealing to no one. Some niches that build really high loyalty, things like Amish couples, there's a huge demand for that feeling of authenticity, raw, unscripted interactions. Or you can go super specific with fetish content, like foot fetish models. It sounds niche, and it is, but the audience is incredibly dedicated and known to spend consistently.
Interesting. So authenticity or hyper-specialization.
Right. Or you can leverage other trends. We're seeing success with fitness cam models who bring in that whole health and performance angle. And maybe surprisingly, there's a really strong market for non-nude performers who focus on specific genres. Think ASMR, elaborate cosplay, musical performances. It's broader than people might realize.
Wow. Okay. It really drives home that point. Specialized monetization often beats trying to capture generalized traffic, especially early on. So let's say you've picked your niche. Maybe it's luxury models offering a premium experience. Then you face another choice. Who are you building this for? Solo performers managing their own careers, or established studios managing teams of models.
That's a really crucial early decision, yeah, because it directly impacts your tech priorities and potentially your costs. Solo performers. They need robust tools built right into their dashboard. Things like sophisticated promotional features, easy scheduling systems, maybe even tools to help them market themselves outside the platform. Studios, on the other hand, they're looking for different things. Their priority is usually system stability above all else, high volume capacity because they might have many models streaming at once. And they need really detailed, complex analytics to manage their teams effectively.
Makes sense. Different needs require different features. But regardless of whether it's solos or studios, there's got to be a baseline set of features that any user just expects these days, right? What's that core checklist for the tech?
Definitely. Users have expectations. You absolutely need a free public chat room that's standard. A reliable, easy to understand, token-based payment system is critical. And for the models, their dashboard has to be intuitive. They need to see earnings clearly, manage their schedule, handle messages easily. It needs to empower them, not frustrate them. One feature that's often seen as optional but can be really valuable for expanding reach is built-in multi-streaming. Allowing models to broadcast to your site and maybe other platforms simultaneously, it helps them maximize visibility, especially early on.
Okay. Vision, revenue streams, core features, starting to take shape. But before we get too deep into the tech costs, which I know are significant, we have to address the elephant in the room, the legal side. This feels like the area where you absolutely cannot afford to, just wing it.
Oh, absolutely not. Winging it here is basically asking for your business to be shut down, or worse. This is the bedrock. The entire business stands or falls on getting the legal and compliance right. And it's complicated because the rules aren't the same everywhere. They differ significantly internationally. The absolute first, most critical piece, performer age verification. It must be 18 plus, no exceptions, ever. And you can't just take their word for it. You need robust, likely third-party verification systems in place.
Okay, 18 plus verified. What else?
You need to securely collect and securely store valid government-issued identification from every single performer. Along with that, you need a signed agreement, a contract. That contract has to clearly outline payment terms, what happens with the content rights, liability clauses.
Yeah.
It protects both you and the performer.
Right. And for the site users, the audience, especially thinking about data privacy, which is huge now.
Huge. Yeah, because you're handling sensitive personal data, potentially financial data from users all over the world. You need rock-solid terms of service and privacy policies. These need to be clear, comprehensive, and compliant. And you need to understand the regulations that govern this stuff. If you have users in Europe, you absolutely have to comply with GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. It dictates how you handle their data. Then there's content piracy. It's rampant. So you need a clear, fast process for handling DMCA takedown notices. That's the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. When someone claims their copyrighted content is on your site, you have to respond appropriately and quickly.
Wow. Okay. GDPR, DMCA, KYC we'll probably get to later. It sounds like a complete minefield. You can't just use a generic template for this stuff.
No way. You absolutely positively need to consult with a lawyer who specializes specifically in digital adult entertainment law. They need to understand everything from, weird U.S. state-level zoning laws that might affect how content is displayed, all the way to international banking regulations and data transfer rules. Spending a few $1,000s on specialized legal advice up front, honestly, it's probably the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy for this kind of venture.
Agreed. That sounds non-negotiable. Okay, legal foundation, hopefully solid. Let's shift focus to maybe the most valuable asset you're trying to attract. The performers themselves, the models, you're basically asking them to leave platforms where they might already have an audience and income? How do you even find performers willing to take a chance on a new platform? And what do you need to offer them to actually make that jump worthwhile?
It's a big ask, for sure. Performers usually leave established platforms for a few key reasons. The platform takes too big a cut, the payouts are slow or unreliable, or they feel they lack control and privacy. So where do you find them? Well, the sources suggest looking in the places where performers are already talking about these exact problems. Publicly.
You mean like Reddit, social media?
Exactly. Reddit is a gold mine, apparently.
Yeah.
Subreddits like For Only Fans Advice, Circumgirl Problems, places like that are filled with creators venting about high platform fees, sometimes 40%, 50%, or even more, and restrictive rules. They're often actively looking for better alternatives. You can also find recruitment opportunities in specific Telegram channels, Discord servers, and even through direct outreach on platforms where creators build their followings like OnlyFans or ManyVids. Use carefully.
Okay, so you find them where they're already discussing the pain points. If the big platforms are taking, say, 40%, you obviously need to offer a much better deal. The sources suggested aiming for platform cuts under 20%. But wait, if the established players justify that 40% cut by handling all the complex legal stuff, the massive infrastructure costs, driving huge traffic, how realistic is it for a startup, even offering only a 20% cut, to provide enough value, enough traffic, enough reliability to keep a top performer happy? That seems like a tough balance.
That is the core challenge, absolutely. And it circles right back to why niching down is so incredibly important. You're probably not going to compete with Chatterbait on sheer traffic volume, especially not initially. But you can compete on specialization, on community, and crucially, on model satisfaction. You attract them with that significantly lower cut under 20% is a huge draw. But you keep them by delivering on speed, reliability, and control.
Speed and control. Tell me more about that.
Okay, first, payouts. They need to be fast and absolutely reliable. Delaying payments, even by a little bit, is like the kiss of death for platform loyalty in this industry. Models rely on that income. Second, control and privacy tools are paramount. They need the ability to block viewers from specific regions or countries. That's huge for safety and peace of mind. IP masking, so their real location isn't easily traceable. And flexibility. Making it easy to use a stage name without jumping through hoops, simple scheduling tools. Basically, the model dashboard needs to feel like their space, empowering them, not like a set of restrictions imposed by the platform. When models feel safe, respected, and in control, they are much more likely to stay and build their audience on your platform, even if the initial traffic numbers aren't astronomical.
Okay, low cuts, fast payouts, robust privacy, that makes sense for retention. But delivering all that, plus the legal compliance we talked about, it brings us right back to the tech. And the cost. Anyone who's even dipped a toe into researching this space hears that figure thrown around. $100,000. Is building this kind of live, interactive, money-handling platform from absolute scratch, is it really that expensive? Or is that an exaggeration?
No, unfortunately, it's not really an exaggeration. Not if you want to do it right, meaning securely, compliantly, and reliably. $100,000 is often cited as a baseline starting point for a custom build. You have to remember, you're not just building like a simple blog or an e-commerce store. You're building a really complex, real-time digital ecosystem. The costs generally break down into a few major, very demanding areas. First, there's all the back-end development. That includes building the proprietary token system, the secure payment integrations, the moderation tools, detailed analytics, and those performer dashboards we just discussed. That's a ton of custom code. Second, the streaming technology itself is specialized. You need ultra-low latency for that real-time interaction, which usually means using protocols like WebRTC. And for broadcasting efficiently to potentially many viewers globally, you need scalable tech like RTMP. This is an off-the-shelf video hosting.
Right, it's live interactive video. And then the money part. I hear that's where a lot of tech projects in this space hit a wall, getting payment processing set up.
That's a huge one, correct. Forget about using standard processors like Stripe or PayPal. Their acceptable use policies strictly prohibit most adult content. You'll get shut down almost immediately. You have to find and integrate with specialized, adult-friendly payment gateways. And these processors know they're dealing with a high-risk industry. That means they impose really strict KYK-MML compliance requirements, know your customer, and anti-money laundering. You'll face intense due diligence processes for yourself, your performers, and sometimes even your users. Expect higher transaction fees, rolling reserves. It's a whole different ballgame.
Higher fees, stricter rules. Okay. Plus, you need security, right? Protecting the content, the users.
Absolutely mandatory. You need secure content delivery networks, CDNs, to ensure streams load quickly and reliably worldwide. And because content piracy is such a massive issue, you need robust protection measures. That could include things like digital watermarking on videos or even implementing DRM, digital rights management technologies, although DRM can be complex and costly itself. So when you factor in the cost of the specialized developers, the streaming infrastructure, the high-risk payment processing, the security measures, building a truly custom platform from scratch easily pushes past $100,000. And it often takes 6 to 12 months just to get a functional minimum viable product MVP launched. Maybe longer.
Okay, 100K plus and maybe a year just for the MVP, that's a massive barrier. So for someone who needs that ownership, needs the compliance baked in, but maybe doesn't have that kind of capital or time, what's the smarter, faster way to get to market? Is there one?
Thankfully, yes. This is where leveraging third-party development solutions specifically designed for this industry comes in. It's often the much smarter path. The sources specifically mentioned examples like Skriddle Stream. The big advantage of these kinds of platforms is that they offer a full white label solution. That means you still own the brand, you own the customer data, it looks and feels like your site, but the underlying technology, the complex compliant architecture, is already built, tested, and maintained for you.
So you get the ownership benefits without the massive upfront build time and cost.
Exactly. A solution like that essentially bakes in all the hard parts we just talked about. Things like reliable HD streaming, secure payment and payout integrations, often pre-vetted for high risk, comprehensive admin controls, maybe even that premium content store functionality. And crucially, they often come with compliance tools already integrated. Things for age verification, GDPR consent management, DMCA handling procedures. It allows you to bypass that incredibly painful, expensive, and time-consuming 6 to 12-month development bottleneck.
That really does sound like the most logical approach for most entrants in 2025. Get the compliant infrastructure quickly, then focus your resources elsewhere.
Which brings us perfectly to the final piece of the puzzle, getting people specifically, people who spend onto your new niche platform, traffic generation. How do you do that in a space where mainstream advertising is basically off limits?
Yeah, you definitely can't just run Google ads or Facebook ads for explicit content. You'll get banned instantly. So your paid traffic strategy has to focus elsewhere. You need to work with specialized adult ad networks. Think names like Traffic Junkie, ExoClick. These networks place your ads, banners, pop-unders, video ads on high-traffic adult websites, the big tube sites like Pornhub, Xvideos, and others. It can be expensive, make no mistake, but it's highly targeted. You're reaching users who are already consuming similar content.
Okay, paid ads on adult networks. What about organic strategies? Building buzz without just throwing money at ads. Reddit comes up again here. It's described as gold for organic traffic if done right. You can share branded clips, carefully following subreddit rules, of course. Maybe have performers do AMA, Ask Me Anything, style promotions in relevant communities. Build genuine engagement. Another key tactic is using the tube sites themselves, uploading short, compelling teaser clips from your platform, making sure they're clearly watermarked with your site's URL, driving interested users directly back to you. This tends to attract high-converting users.
Teasers and watermarks. Got it. Any other channels?
Twitter can be effective for NSFW content promotion and linking back to your site, used strategically. Even potentially non-explicit teasers on platforms like TikTok, driving traffic to a link in bio, although that requires careful navigation of content policies. And don't underestimate the power of building an affiliate system, rewarding your existing users or even your top fans for bringing in new spending customers. You can also incentivize models to recruit other models or users. Ultimately, all your marketing, paid or organic, needs to be laser-focused on converting that traffic into those high-value actions we talked about. Buying tokens, subscribing, and especially booking those lucrative private shows.
Okay, so to kind of wrap this deep dive up for you, the listener, if you're considering venturing into owning an adult camming platform, success seems to hinge on extreme clarity and discipline. You absolutely must define your niche. Don't try to be everything to everyone. You need an absolutely bulletproof legal and compliance shield from day one. Understand your GDPR, KYC, DMCA obligations inside out. And critically, you have to prioritize the performers. That means genuinely attractive platform cuts, definitely under 20%, plus fast payouts and robust privacy protections. That's how you build loyalty.
And that whole picture leads us back to a final, maybe provocative thought. Really tying together the risk and the reward here. Think about it. If a huge platform takes a massive 40% or 50% cut, They're doing it partly because they're absorbing the immense cost and complexity of global compliance. The $100K plus infrastructure build and maintenance, the high-risk payment processing, the constant security vigilance. When you decide to own your entire stack to bypass them and take on dealing directly with the specialized payment processors, the shifting global regulations, the DMCA notices, the security threats yourself, you gain that ultimate business freedom and profit potential. But it forces a really important question. In an industry inherently defined by high risk, what is the true cost measured not just in dollars, but also in your ongoing risk exposure of achieving that complete freedom and control?
That is a heavy question to end on, but yeah, it perfectly captures the stakes involved here. This isn't a casual venture. Thank you, as always, for sharing the source material that let us dive this deep. Really fascinating stuff. We'll catch you on the next one.